Hey everybody, I have a wonderful special guest. Molly is here to talk to us about having a disability and managing her mental health.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on your channel. We actually just did a video on my channel together, which you guys should check out.
I'll link in the description and push to at the end. But tell my audience a little bit about what they can expect on your channel, because she does a lot of different things.
Yes, there's a lot of variety on my channel. We have a lot of fun over there. I do tags and challenges and makeup tutorials as a blind person, technology stuff, service dog and guide dog kind of stuff. It's a whole lot of everything, lifestyle, beauty.
Yeah,
all of it.
She's an open book and it's really great, so you should check it out, and I'll link all of her socials in the description. But today I just want my audience to get to know you a little bit better, because as I was learning about Molly when she reached out to want to collaborate and I was reading about you, I mean, you're an amazing woman. I don't mean that, I'm not like saying it just to flatter you, I'm saying it because I really truly mean it.
Thank you.
And you started speaking, this is what's amazing, you guys. She started speaking at the age of 5. And what was it, what caused that decision to be made? Were you really nervous? Where did you speak first? Like, tell them a little bit about your advocacy work and what you do.
Yeah, so when I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare genetic eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, which causes the slow process of vision loss as the retina deteriorates over time.
Okay.
And so my parents knew that one day I was going to go blind, and they just didn't really know when that would be. And they were looking for resources, and they came across the Foundation Fighting Blindness. And they needed somebody to speak at one of their fundraisers. So little 5-year-old Molly got picked, and I can still like vividly remember this, going up on the stage, and the big line that started it all was, "Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines." It was like a motorcycle race. So in front of like thousands of leather-clad bikers, and I waved this little flag, and little did my parents know it would literally launch like a career. You know, I'm a full-time motivational speaker and YouTuber, so I do both. And I love my job so much. It brings me so much joy, and I feel really lucky that I started at such a young age, because you mentioned like fear and nervousness.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I started public speaking before I knew you should be afraid. I think a lot of our fears we almost develop from other people. And you know, your mom's afraid of height. You like see that and you take it on.
And children, the one thing I love about children is they don't worry so much what other people think as we do when we become teenagers and adults. And
you're self-conscious. What if I mess up? People will laugh at me. Whereas I was just like, hey, I'm here. This is exciting. How cool.
Exactly.
I get a microphone.
Exactly.
And so I started so young that I just never got that fear or nervousness. For me, it's actually exhilarating. I feel when I get on stage, I'm fueled by it. So many people, when they find out what I do for a living, they're like, oh my God, I'd rather die than speak. And I'm like, I can't stop. Like, it's my passion.
No, and it gives, I think everybody needs to be reminded that you have a voice and it's important, and you can use that voice to spread awareness for whatever causes, is close to you.
It's important to do so.
Exactly. Yeah. So when did you actually become blind then? Because it was degenerative. By the age of 5, were you completely blind?
I lost the majority of my vision at 14 in grade 8. One of the hardest times that could have happened, because hormones are going crazy, puberty, we're trying to figure ourselves out, everybody's kind of coming into their own style, making new friends, going off to high school. It's a big time in life for change and self-exploration. And the girl I was and thought I knew was just gone. I went from being, pretty popular to having no friends and being tormented by bullies, being very outgoing and bubbly, to being very depressed. I dealt with situational depression and self-harm and suicidal ideation. So it was a very difficult time for me.
Yeah, and our teen years are the worst already.
Yes.
But pairing that with the actual loss of your sight, I can only imagine.
Yes.
So what did you do, because I'm always offering up tips and tricks for my audience on managing your mental health. What are some things you did then and do now that help you feel like your best self?
So as I mentioned, back then I dealt with depression, and I've since dealt with generalized anxiety and PTSD from an accident that I had. Blind girl accidents, they happen frequently. And so I definitely have a lot of experience dealing with mental illness and with my mental health and trying to manage it. And so a big thing for me is therapy. I mean, I think it's so important to recognize when you need help. And that is one of the huge things that got me through. I had an amazing psychologist that I still go to see from time to time when I feel like I'm struggling. She's been through a lot with me, and I love her so much. And I just finding that person that you're comfortable with. And it, if you can't, afford a therapist, or if you don't have time in your schedule, find someone in your life who you can really be honest with and open with, who's trustworthy and makes you feel comfortable and unconditionally supported. That's so key. Just being open and talking about it, getting it out there. Even journaling about it. Journaling was a huge outlet for me. Speaking my language, and you know, for me, journaling then became writing lyrics, and then I was able to express myself through making music and singing and sharing my voice that way, and that was very empowering for me when I was recovering.
No, totally.
And I think our mental health, it's not just a one thing. You know, there's everything combines. We have to think about physical health, emotional, mental. It's all plays together. So for me, it was, you know, seeing a nutritionist and eating foods that are fueling my body and not dragging me down. And getting enough sleep at night. Sleep is my best friend at VidCon. It's a little tricky.
It is a little tricky.
But that is definitely something I try to prioritize in my life, is getting to bed at a good time, getting enough rest. You know, avoiding different things that might be triggers for you is really important, I think. So those are definitely key things for me. And you know, working out, finding spirituality that you connect with, you know, which isn't necessarily the one you were born into. It wasn't for me, but I found one that I connect with, and it really has helped guide me, and just having something to believe in has been really helpful.
And I think everyone can agree, like, our mental health, everyone has a mental health. It doesn't mean that we have to have any issues. I don't even really like calling them that, because we all have a mental health that needs like tending to.
Some people have mental illness. We all have mental health.
Exactly. And I think it's important for all of us to remember also that it's multifaceted, like Molly's saying. Like, it's not just one thing that we do, because we can't depend just on one. We have to really diversify our self-care and make sure that it's holistic.
You can't expect to like listen to one relaxation playlist, have a bath, and drink a cup of tea, and you're gonna be good. That's not how these things work.
And it might not work, because if you don't have the time to do that, we need to make sure we have things we can do in the middle of the night. When we don't have the hour to give to it, we have 10 minutes, like making it work for you. And I love like journaling. I'm always a huge fan of it, because to get whatever we're feeling out can feel so good. And it's so cathartic.
And if you're not comfortable talking about it, writing it is that great way to get it out.
Exactly.
I think even, and if you said, you know, if you only have 10 minutes, meditation tapes. There's like, you can find 10-minute meditation apps,
Headspace,
even 5-minute ones. You know, there's so many ways. It's just about making that time for yourself, because I always say, you can only give what you have. And that's why I got to the point of realizing, like, I didn't have it anymore. You know, and I need to now give to myself before I can give to others again.
Totally. And I always preach that, like, we have to help ourselves first before we can help
someone else. You're no good to anyone else.
No.
As a mom, as a sister, as a dad, as a friend, as a teacher, you're not good to anyone unless you're good to yourself.
Agreed. And so what advice, because I have a lot of viewers that are struggling with a disability or finding out that they have a degenerative disease, what kind of advice would you give to maybe like a younger Molly, or to them starting out and trying to maybe find their voice?
Mourn the loss. You know, take time for yourself. It's a grieving process. It's like a death. I always say to people, I wasn't dying, but my eyes were. And I was literally watching them die, and it was devastating. I lost a part of myself. And it's important to grieve that and to go on a process of exploration. Okay, what am I going to do now? Who am I going to become? What do I have to look forward to? Take your time to focus on all the negative parts of what you're going through and realize it's okay, but then rise above it and keep going despite it. You know, don't just wallow. Life will get better. That's what I'm all about on my channel, is promoting, you know, all the cans. Because with disability especially, we love to focus on the can't. Oh, she can't see. He can't walk. It's like all of these negative, and people just think disability is like, oh, at least I'm not them. But it's,
even the
it's
term
not like,
disability, like
but it's
the
not.
non-ability.
You know, it's not. I wouldn't change a thing. I love the life I live. It's allowed me to help people, to give back, to explore, to be here right now. You know, I'm at VidCon because of the life path my disability has taken me on, and it's amazing. And you know, there are definitely, I can't take away from the negatives that there are, because there are challenges and I still face those. But the positives are there too, and that's what's important to find, is all the amazing cans in your life. And, you know, grieve it and then find all the cans. Find all the amazing blessings that it's going to bring.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for sharing all your tips and tricks with us. And like I said, we did a video over on Molly's channel.
Yes.
Check it out, and I will link in the description all of her socials. Follow her. Like I said, she's really motivating and amazing. Thank you for taking the time to sit with us.
Well, thank you for having me on the channel.
Of course, and we will see you next time.
Bye.